Hello everybody, this is Zorkent2, and, yep, we're here again, Stars from the Deep. Now I haven't done much work at all on this thing. I have done a little bit. I made this building, but, yeah, I mean, it looks good, and I have to admit, like, netherite, it's an expensive block, but dude, does it look good on buildings, right? Um, so there's that building. However, I um I don't think that I'm gonna really get anywhere by building a giant futuristic city in this world. And hear me out. Yes, Phantom has been doing work over here, and he has. Oh, he actually did do work on the inside. Okay. Well, oh my god, that building just looks so cool from a distance. And maybe I'll rebuild it. But I don't think I'm gonna be able to continue this map from this world. And the reason why is just simply like I don't think I got the theme right. You know what I mean? Like, sure, there's these Tesla coils everywhere. First of all, though, can I just say, Phantom, I know you liked it. I know you like the Tesla coils like this, but like unless people unless there's the rings down here, you really cannot tell that this is like the ball of a Tesla coil. It looks it honestly looks so much simpler and more easy to recognize if it's just a solid color, like yellow, possibly. But yeah, um, as you can see, the buildings are just kind of all over the place. There isn't really a pattern to them. There isn't really any order. And I feel like if I'm going to be building a city, I need to at least get a little sense of like order for the buildings, right? Because that's kind of what a city does. And so, as sad as it is, I think I'm gonna have to delete this world and start over. However, I'm not going to be starting entirely from scratch. Okay, so here we are in Google Photos. This is, don't mind this. I don't know why I started on this, but, lasting energy. This is just something Matey created to help protect me from Speedy whenever he tries to convert me to a furry. But we're not going to talk about that. Um, so I did grab a couple images online, and basically this picture and this picture are kind of like the main two pictures I'm going to try and base this new world off of. So this time I'm not I don't have just I don't have nothing to work off of. I'll actually have a reference. And it's good as as like an artist or something. I mean, yeah, Minecraft building is technically a form of art. But as an artist, when you're drawing something, it's good to have like a reference photo. Or, something you can base your art off of, right? And yeah, I'm gonna be basing it off of other art. I know, that's kind of ironic. But yeah. Like Matey, he draws a lot, I draw a lot. Remember the last video? The solar build? I'm actually drawing it. I'm drawing it well, not right now, but I'm basically sketching it. And yeah. So I'm gonna be basing it off of these two mainly, but I do have one more, and this isn't like something I'll be basing it off of because as you can see here, the buildings here are kind of bland. Oh, that's just the recording. that's the last recording. So the buildings here are pretty bland, but obviously there's some circled, and there are a couple here that do actually sort of inspire me, and maybe I'll try and use those. But yeah, I just kind of want to get like this futuristic architecture or this futuristic city style. Like I just want to nail it because the part of the map that I'm building right now, or that you'll see me build in a minute, that is yeah, I want it to be very futuristic looking. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to perfect this photo, and of course, we're not trying to copy it. We're just trying to get a few ideas, maybe use a couple buildings here and there, but mainly this big center one is obviously the one I have my eye on. I really like that. Maybe a couple more, but there's definitely some things I won't be able to do, like this wall, or like the thing from Interstellar, that movie, like at the end where they're on that station and the Earth goes like, it curves inwards and it goes up. Yeah, we're definitely not going to be able to do that, and that's fine because I never intended on doing that anyway. Yeah, these three pictures should be enough to help me with like a reference thing. Okay. So let's delete the world, let's make a new one, and I'll be back when I've made at least a little bit of progress. I can't say words today, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, before I go, so I've set up the spawn and everything. No one's joining, right? Okay, good. So basically, I added a little thing over the thing since last episode that made no sense. Basically, I created floating text, and I did it through the bat spawn egg. Basically, bats, they are now... Hold on, let me test this without the thing. Oh, okay, cool. So bats... Okay, I can't remember if I made them move or not. Okay, cool. So bats, they cannot move. And also they, well, as you can see, they're just text. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that. I think maybe affecting the player with weakness or affecting the bat with like resistance and regen and stuff should help. But yeah, basically, that's the Rickroll link, by the way. Don't type that in unless you want to get Rickrolled. But yeah, let's do one more test to see something real quick. So obviously with the anvils, there's the rename, there's the character limit on renaming bat spawn eggs or name tags. However, if you can spawn like in Bedrock Edition now, you can summon you can summon the entities with custom names, like just through the command without having to do any of those weird brackets or braces. So since you don't technically have a character limit in a command, theoretically something like this should work. And indeed it does. Now I forgot two L's. I forgot the second L on the hello. Whatever. We're good now. So something I noticed, and you probably noticed it too, is that the bat fell. But I guess if we just put the bat high enough and then put a barrier block under it, that should solve that problem. I mean, yeah, I guess that's really it. Alright, go Rickroll yourself, guys. Okay. So, this is the testing world for Stars from the Deep. And Matey and I created it last night. We were working on, well, quite a few things, as you can see. I created this handy chest that gives you all the modded blocks. and then every time you open it, it automatically resets to what it was before. So basically that's like our little supply of like all of the blocks that I modded in for this map. I also added this, the color blinking block. And basically, remember that effect I tried to do last episode with the iron block and the concrete? So, that's kind of what I wanted to do with this block, except flipbook textures, as it turns out, they don't work in 1.16, so we're just stuck with this. Basically, the flipbook texture, and the reason it was called a color blinking block, is because this white would have slowly turned to red, then orange, then yellow, green, blue, purple, something, and then back to white. And so it would have had like a cool color changing effect. It would have looked very neon and futuristic. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they fix it, but honestly, if they don't, I have I have much more reasonable things to be mad about, so I'm not gonna fuss about it. So, this is kind of what we've been doing lately. We kind of built, I guess you could say, a miniature model of the city. So basically what we want to do, I know this looks kind of messy, but I'll break it down for you. Basically, I think what's best is that we actually plan the roads and build the roads before we actually start building the buildings themselves. Because if we build the roads first, then that will minimize the chance of something like the last world happening again, where like all the buildings were just kind of everywhere. There wasn't really a pattern to how they were spread out. Whereas this, so these, like the things in the air, these are all monorail tracks, and that's the design for the monorail right there. So just, you can ignore that for now. The actual roads are this cyan terracotta right here. So basically, we have a very small central, like, square, I guess, road, and then we have a slightly bigger square layer going around, and then we have the outer, like, boundary, I suppose, going out. And then to connect all of the roads, we've got lines, or like roads going straight through the middle, like cutting through all of them on all four sides. And we've also got diagonal roads cutting through all of them on all four sides. And I just think originally we didn't have the diagonals, but I wanted to add them in because I just thought it would look pretty cool when we were actually building the city. Like, you just go into the very corner and you can, like, pretty much see, like, the center of the city. I don't know, it would just have this nice symmetry to it. It would look very cool. So then we have 3 monorail tracks, initially anyway. One will just be supported and going around like this. The second will be connecting, for the sake of direction, we'll call this south, that north, that west, and that east. We'll have a monorail connecting the north and south points in this kind of shape. And yes, the north-south and the east-west monorails do connect to this center building. And then we have the east-west monorail, of course, going higher up, so that it doesn't interfere with the other monorails. But I thought it would be cool if the east-west monorail connected with the roundabout monorail that just goes around the city. And this building right here, it's a pretty poor representation of it. I can't say words. It's a pretty poor representation of it, but do you know that giant building from the second photo that I saved in Google Photos? It should be appearing on screen right now. Yeah, that building. That building, that's kind of what we want to do here. We're gonna put the giant building in the center of the city, because obviously that just kind of, kind of makes sense, right? And let me get rid of this water. I don't know if you guys have seen this fog effect before, but it's pretty cool, and it may be a little bit hard to do on a larger scale, but if I put in one more, you can kind of see, like, so since it's not all like that, where you can just see through it, then it actually has to register the change in the color, and the changes in color stack on top of each other, and it creates this really cool fog effect. So you can see, like, it kind of fades out a little bit more, like, it turns more blue, and that's because, like, if we did it on a very large scale, and Matey and I did in another world, like, and then we put the water over it, and it doesn't necessarily work for this particular thing, because we're on a flat world, and there's the void right there, but, basically, if we actually do it on a big scale, it would almost look like it's reflecting, but since we've got the void right there, it's not really working. So yeah, I think Matey and I are probably gonna do another session on this world soon, possibly even start on the actual world, and I'll get back to you after that's all done, or until we've made at least a little bit of progress. And make progress is exactly what we did. Now, so as you can see, I'm trying to rebuild the building that I made on the other worlds, because it is actually a pretty cool design, and I do like it. And Matey came along and built this building, which is, I mean, it looks cool from the outside. On the inside, though, it's a bit of a different story. It's not that it looks bad, it just looks weird on the inside. So, basically, these two buildings obviously kind of have the same palette. Like, black and red, or like a dark color, red, and then using the red lights. My building would definitely be more expensive to create in survival, though. Although then again, I guess the lights are unobtainable. So I guess they're about as expensive. Actually, no, because then the netherite would still add to that, so never mind. But yeah, so we were, like, derping around with all the stuff, and then we realized that when we set the time to night, the monorails, they really don't illuminate at all. So we got to work, and I think we solved that problem fairly well. We obviously haven't done the bottom one, but we did the top one, and I quite like how it's turned out. And I don't remember if in the last clip we had already tested the slope and the curve monorail, but if not, we did that, and I'm actually kind of glad. I'm kind of happy with how it turned out. There's this lamp design here. I don't know exactly why it's here, because we made some lamp designs over there, which, in my opinion, are a lot better. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just something tells me we're going to be using those a little more. And can I just say, at nighttime, these lights really do their job. Like, oh my gosh, that building at night. Matey's building at night. Gosh, that's amazing. And at the very top, I mean, Matey just left this open. So I wasn't exactly sure what to do with it, so I just, you know, slapped the lid on top of it, and he can remove it later on if he wants to, the next time we work on it. But for now, that's the building. And for now, this is the building that I've built before. It's pretty hard to do it without footage, but once this video goes up, I should be able to correct any mistakes I may have made, because then I'll be able to look at the old one. But, yeah, so here's the monorail station. Not sure if I mentioned already that it looked like a rib cage earlier, but yeah, earlier it looks like the rib cage of some monster. But hold up, alright. I'm gonna set the time today. Now, a bit later, after I put in all that glass, I came on without the immediate conception that looked like a monster's rib cage. And if you all just forget I said that and look at it again, it actually does look kind of modern now. It actually looks sort of futuristic. Like, comparing to the second image again, I'll put it up again. So, you see the hyper tube things? Or they look like the hyper tubes from Satisfactory. Those things, first of all, that's what inspired Matey and I to build the monorail. And second, the monorail station, here, let me remove the image for a little bit. The station actually kind of ended up looking like the original tubes in that image. Like, can you guys see it? It kind of does, right? Kind of ironic. But yeah, there's a second one up here, and I built a little sky bridge with a cool pattern to transition between the two. And here's an up-close view. This is how the people will get up into the station. And then we've got a thing here that lets them get up to the sky bridge. Oh. I'll fix that later. And then here's the second station. Yeah, so overall it's pretty cool. And I think you may already know what this is, and you may have already seen the extra bonus to this build already in the background. But yeah, this is the road design that Matey was working on. It's pretty cool. I did modify a couple things. One of them, or I guess two technically. So the first one was these inner X's. These were made by me. And the reason I made them is to make this part look less conspicuous. And the reason I made this here, instead of just leave it like this, is because there's command blocks here. And there are also command blocks underneath this one. And what they do is, I'm pretty sure, if you didn't notice, then these things, these lampposts, they were on. Like, they were illuminating at night. And during the daytime, of course, they switch off, and they become blue concrete. So, midnight, they turn on. Daytime, they turn off. And basically, the way we do this, I'm not going to go into detail, but basically there's two daylight sensors here. The comparators detect whenever one gets a signal. This one sets this block to white wool, and then the nighttime command block sets that color to orange. And then basically, we have 4 command blocks underneath each like little thingy V section in the bridge. Two of them detect, or one, there's 2 for each like daytime and nighttime thing. The first command block will detect the color change in the wool, and the second command block for the module will set the blocks to blue lights or blue concrete depending on which color change it was. And I guess this is an on-ground version of the road, but we probably will end up using this elevated version a bit more, I imagine. Of course, it's not going to always be this high, so we're gonna have to compensate for that, but whatever. Or, compensate the design. Adjust it. That's the better word. So a few changes were also made to this blueprint. Well, 3D blueprint, a model basically. So in Matey has his own world where he builds and everything. He actually created a couple of videos on it, I think, where he just went building random stuff. The series is called Matey Builds, and I'll leave the thumbnail of those videos up if I can find them. But basically, he invited me onto his build world, and he built a road. It wasn't that one, but it was just kind of like a placeholder design, And basically, the thing he was showing me was there were these kind of tower things that he said would kind of mark the boundary of the city. So basically, I'm not sure if I want to build diagonal ones, because we all know how hard diagonals are. But I'm thinking if we will, I think we will. And this is what we'll do. We'll do it like this. Oh, wait, sorry, that's not aligned. Hold up. So like that. Obviously, they'll be a lot closer together, but if I did it like this, then it would block up the road and you wouldn't be able to see it. So another thing you can probably notice in the change to this model is that we put lights inside of it. So basically, we have kind of come into a problem, which of course we've solved, but basically our problem was that the color scheme for most futuristic builds is like a white and blue color scheme, like that kind of aqua blue. That's typically what most people use for their futuristic builds, and yes, we are going to use that color scheme. But of course, looking at the 2 buildings we've built right here, that is definitely not the color scheme we're using. And we will use that color scheme. But for these 2 buildings, can we just admit it would kind of look a little weird if I switch the color scheme for this building? And I'm probably just saying that because that's how I've always looked at it, and not from a white and blue color scheme. But Matey basically proposed a solution to this, and honestly, I was kind of thinking the same thing when he said this, but he was the first one to speak it out. So there will be our city is basically kind of divided into sectors or quadrants, through all the roads dividing it and stuff. So we'll have 4 corners since, there's roads that go like that and that and that and that. And the 4 corners will have different color schemes or color codes and whatnot for the buildings. They'll for each corner, each building will stick to around the same palette. And this is going to be the red sector, where these 2 buildings will end up. This will be the green sector, where the lights and everything would be green. This will be the blue sector, which is where the typical white and blue palette for the futuristic style will make its way in. And then purple, because originally we thought yellow, but it didn't really take us long to realize that yellow doesn't really go well with most futuristic palettes. And purple, it's a pretty good substitute for blue. So, yeah, we threw that into the mix as well. So that's pretty much the plan. I'll, once I get this video out, I'll go look back in the footage, and hopefully that will help me build this a little easier. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much what we've been up to. Matey left because he crashed and he couldn't actually rejoin after that crash, no matter what he tried. But he'll probably be back soon. And, well, not soon, but we'll probably be back at it again, doing all of the builds and finishing them all and starting new ones. But yeah, that is definitely going to be the road design we will use, and we might use a couple others, but this is basically going to be the main one. I like the lamppost design. I'm happy that we eventually found a solution, because for a while we were kind of struggling with the design, but we came up with something quite simple, and the command systems that operate them fit into it all quite nicely, so I'm happy with that. Alright, so for now, I'll just head out, maybe touch up a few things here and there, so that I can, think of something new that Matey and I can do while we build this thing off camera, and that'll be it for now. See you guys later.